to it. Oh, and just because of that bizarre thing you dropped in the thread, I watched the first couple of episodes of The Boys.
Your weed is trash?
My weed is trash?
Did you not watch that? Okay, you're talking about a different bizarre thing.
No, I watched the first couple of episodes of The Boys just because. And that show comes out of the gate. They murder a superhero by shoving explosives up his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That fight in the electronics store with Butcher and the Invisible Man was just...
Yeah, using his own blood to...
Yeah.
Sure. Let's,
Yeah, I love Urbane's character in that show. He's... All right, good morning. And, I don't see the old man yet, but hopefully he catches in and...
Catches in? You mean
catches
up or tunes in?
Whatever. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, and I'll say it again if I see him pop in. Today is the 247th or 74th? 47th.
You just looked this up like 5 minutes ago.
I know, but we've talked about so many things since then. It's amazing. But happy birthday to my soldiers, to my war fighters out there. Not you, Steve. You were one of those sister services. Sister services. So it's not your birthday. It's our birthday. So the American Army just got older today. And we'll be sure to say another special happy birthday if His Majesty joins us. Which I'm going to give you a maybe on that because most of my children are off to camp today, and except for the wee one.
Except for the wee one.
The weeest of my wee ones, my 50-pound toddler, is over at day camp with Ma and His Majesty. So I see Steve's here, Megan's with us, Dan, and I've got
Steve is here,
Uncle Steve there. Sean Stryker, Crack Shot, Georgia Constitution Media has joined us. And
good morning.
And Ben, we need to chit chat again soon, brother. I've got some ideas that maybe we can do something with.
Let me read not Uncle Steve, but Steve's comment because
One Eye.
There we go. Did you just call him a dickhead?
I did.
All right. Anyhow, 8.6% recognized inflation. Gasoline approaching $7 to $8 a gallon in some places. Empty grocery store shelves. Home prices so high only corporations can buy. But here, have a non-issue show trial. You know, I was listening to the radio yesterday, and a guy called in, and was like, hey, Mr. Radio Guy, I just happen to be one of those, like, super anal retentive people who keeps receipts forever. So I like to go to Kroger, and I like to get the 3-pound bag of Kroger brand boneless, skinless chicken breasts because they're individually frozen, quick, easy, blah, blah, blah. Last June, I paid $8 for that bag of chicken. This June, I'm paying $12 for that same bag of chicken. $3 boneless, skinless chicken breast. So, hey, look,
Steve says, "Hey, Ogre, that was so damn go F yourself." I wanna be perfectly fair to old Rhodey there. He is the shot group in a Cyclops you ever gonna meet.
fair enough. Hey,
You don't want to get on the wrong side of his LC9, I guarantee.
Look, your dad did catch in.
And good morning, Your Majesty, and a happy birthday. Congratulations on making 247.
It's a what? No, wait. It's a merry birthday. I'm trying to combine sayings together, but it's actually more difficult to do on the fly than you would think.
This is funny as a screen door on a battleship. Why don't you make like a tree and get the hell out of here? So you could have just gone straight to Back to the Future quotes.
See, but even that's not exactly the same thing. But, oh, and then Danny joined us. Good morning, Danielle.
So, today what we're doing is basically a bit of a follow-up to yesterday's show. We had a slate of memes that we wanted to get through yesterday, but we went down the rabbit hole a bit on the subject matter. And there's a couple of things. First, I want to address a couple of spots where I think maybe there's some misunderstanding. I got a few comments from Demography Now and from the Legion, not the American Legion, the other one, who's
everybody knows
dangerous.
Everybody knows.
One of the smartest people I've ever encountered. But seems to be some confusion. I thought I had been pretty clear early in the show. If you're involved in an organization, any organization, I don't care if it's U.S. government, I don't care if it's you're talking about Patriot Front, you're part of an ideological organization, a governmental organization, anything that has an oppositional component. Even if you're running a business that has competitors, right? If you have any sort of oppositional component to your organization, as in there are oppositional organizations, people who are organized and are against what you're organized for, it is tactically and strategically correct and prudent to operate with the assumption that at least up to 20% of your organization is compromised, infiltrated, or in some way beholden to your opposition. And I'm using the word opposition because we're not always talking about enemy forces, but once you're at the level that you're dealing with having to operate as if, the distinction between opposition and enemy is pretty insubstantial. It's really a distinction without a difference. But my point yesterday, I was not making the claim that Patriot Front is not an existent organization. It is. And it has been since around the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally thing. That said, the op we just saw where 31 of those guys or someone, Stryker, yes, that is after vetting. And I'm not going to go into we're not going to go that deep in the weeds this morning, though, because we started to go too deep in the weeds yesterday. But you look at the situation where you've got 31 guys arrested for pre-crime. They didn't commit a crime. They were arrested for pre-crime. And apparently I don't think anybody was actually charged. They were just hauled in.
Like $300 bail on
right.
Seatbelt offenses.
Right. It's a great photo op for the narrative, while we're trying to pretend like in a world where black supremacists are burning down cities, murdering police officers, and setting courthouses on fire, that white supremacy is the real problem. It's a very convenient photo op for that narrative. And we've seen the photos of the 31 guys that were arrested. They're all wearing masks. They're all wearing uniforms.
Yeah, masks, right. Uniforms. Not a lot of beer guts in that picture. And just, it's like we said yesterday. Brevity is the soul of wit. Let me try and punch this in like 2 sentences. We know that Patriot Front is real. We just think that the people that got arrested are not genuine members of Patriot Front.
Correct. It could be that some of the people who were arrested were genuinely members of Patriot Front, kind of like the Whitmer kidnapping gang.
A lot like the Whitmer.
It could be the case that 5 to 15% of the arrestees are not federal operatives. But when you look at that group, they don't look like a random smattering of people. They look like they were cast to play the roles. They're not a fatty among them.
Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right. All basically the same demographic. In fact, with the masks on, they're descriptively indistinguishable. So two things can be true at the same time. It can be, and it is, the case that Patriot Front is an organization which does exist. It can also be the case that the men who were arrested as Patriot Front, it could be the case that none of them are actual members of Patriot Front. It can be the case that Patriot Front is the name being used by the authorities to front this op. And demography, no, it's not obvious why they're wearing masks, because you're not talking about an organization that has a history of conducting planned riots.
Well,
so hang on. Patriot Front, you got the Patriot thing going on. You're not talking about a group of people who mask for COVID. You're not talking about dedicants to the Branch Covidians here. So that they're wearing masks, honestly, I think there's a two-part thing here. You've got the hope to hide identities, right? And if it is the case that we're talking about a group being infiltrated and abused by federal operatives, then above and beyond the wish to maintain anonymity is the wish to create the appearance of needing anonymity for the purpose of going in to commit crimes. Because what we're being told is that these people in Patriot Front, who I am not saying are an organization that's expected to conduct criminal activities, is being targeted to be painted as if they are an organization that is organized for the purpose of conducting criminal activities. It is psychological warfare at its dirtiest.
So, well, specifically, what Demography asked is now, why is it a better photo op than if they had been at the event itself and done their counter-protest? Well, two reasons. One, if the event itself happens and does their counter-protest, they lose control of the narrative.
Right, because you've got a couple of possibilities there. Let's assume there are no feds involved, and they're allowed to go on with their counter-protest, and nothing goes wrong. They show up and protest peacefully. That breaks the narrative. Your alternative is this group, which does not contain any feds, for the purposes of this hypothetical example, goes and there is a riot. In that case, now you've got a narrative, but that's just about your least likely outcome. Your next outcome is there are feds involved. You let them get there to start their protest, and those feds initiate the riot in order to get their narrative. That puts the whole thing into a show trial where, like the Whitmer situation, the feds run the risk of being exposed for conducting the activity, and more Americans are woken up to the fact that the psychological warfare against your liberty, against the Constitution, and against the continued existence of the United States of America, which has been weaponized by the Democrat Party to include the use of the levers of government, We've seen it with the IRS. We've seen it with the FBI. We've seen it with individual police departments. That the levers of government and the monopoly of violence has been weaponized against the United States Constitution and the United States of America for the purposes of her total destruction.
Well, look, it's the other part of that is if they arrest him beforehand, not only do they get the gorgeous photo op that was obviously at least somewhat staged, and anybody that says there's that a picture like that's not staged, like it's always staged. There's always some editing that's made when you photograph anything on the spot because you're deciding what to photograph and what to not photograph. But the other part of it is not only can they control the narrative in the moment, they can also control the narrative in the future. Those guys were on their way to burn down a city and worship Satan and bring about literal Armageddon and destruction of the planet. You can't tell me otherwise because it never happened. So now they're allowed to say whatever. Look, we're 15 minutes in. We should roll over.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go ahead and point this. And Chris didn't know I was going to do this. Hey, Bunny, if we're going to look at these memes, you know what we could have did? We could have looked at them yesterday on Meme War Monday, had the same 2-part show, and had the second part of the discussion on Tuesday anyway. So it's Meme War Tuesday? It's 2 for Tuesday. I've been thinking of a way to pun the memes in.
We're going to talk about memes
I knew I was going to make fun of you, but I didn't know how I was going to pun the memes in. So, but this goes back to...
Take this one. Are y'all with the cult?
It's not a cult. We just believe that on January 6th, the sacred halls of democracy were desecrated by the...
Yeah, this is it.
I love Hank Hill. He might be my actual spirit animal. No, it wasn't.
Okay, no, demography. You're missing the point. You're not rejecting my premise. You're not paying attention. You're missing the point. My point is not that all pro-white groups must have feds, right? My point is that all groups which have any opposition must conduct themselves, whether or not it is the case, as if some portion of their organization has been infiltrated by hostile forces. My point is that we have seen the feds conduct these false flag operations on multiple occasions, repeatedly. So when you see something like this one, where the news cycle and the police are telling us that these evil white people were going to go do a riot, you should view that with skepticism, because a group being white nationalist, pro-white, what have you, does not automatically make that group evil. And so any time that they are being drawn out and shown to be evil in the press, I say that with scare quotes, evil in the press, you should be enormously skeptical of how that narrative is being crafted. And the FBI is the organization that has historically conducted those false flags with the purpose of framing those white groups as being bad. And that's certainly not to say that there are not bad white supremacist groups, white nationalist groups. It is more correct to say that they exist in numbers which are absolutely inconsequential to the national politic, especially when compared to active groups of violent non-white supremacists. And I say non-white advisedly because it's not just BLM. You've also got groups like La Raza, right? So for every I'm not going to quote a statistic here because they're a little muddy. Mostly because who gets to decide what is a violent nationalist or violent supremacist movement is muddy.
Look, I don't.
Okay, demography. You're missing the point. I can't keep talking to you about it because it's like you're actively trying to avoid the point that I'm making. I don't know what you're failing to understand there. So we'll just move on. We'll move back on to these memes. This one. So
So you can, so literally, you can sum this up with, you can miss me with that gay shit.
yeah, we'll just go. We'll go with that and move on then.
All right, this is an edition of the Left Can't Meme. You know how many people on the left probably think this is brilliant? All right. Kyle Rittenhouse. Just. Let's see, Kyle Rittenhouse. I feel like God has been on my side through the beginning. And that's David Koresh and Jim Jones and Charles Manson and Adolf Hitler. Not only do they manage to tie him together with him, but they make a point that doesn't even mean anything. Like, how many people say I feel like God has been on my side, right? You could have just as easily as, like, put a picture of, like, Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi and, like, it's okay. Well, it's just the left can't meme. It's terrible. I wish you understood how maddeningly distracting it is while you're...
Sorry. I mean, I don't want demography to leave, but we're talking past each other here. It's a waste of time. But I'd be happy to have the conversation with you off air sometime, and then maybe even
yeah. But anyhow,
readdress it.
the left can't meme. Like, this is just. I see things like this, and I'm just like, oh God! I understand the point I think you're trying to make, but it's so stupid. Like,
Right, because none of these people were acting in self-defense.
right.
It's that simple. In fact, this guy is the opposite of these four people.
Yeah, as soon as Kyle Rittenhouse becomes a cult leader, let me know. Because that's the thing the four of them on the bottom have in common.
Yep.
All cult leaders.
Yeah, there should be a picture of Joe down there.
Oh, hey, look! This is it's almost like Steve saw this meme in advance and let off our show with it.
So, yeah, 8% inflation, 39% presidential approval rating, gas prices at a historic national high, stock market crashing near a recession. Bring out the secret weapon, January 6th. Ooh. And, okay, I keep hearing in the news, okay, we've broken $5 national average, highest gas in history. And I keep having a little cognitive dissonance with that, because the last time we were at the highest national average gas prices in history, I was in California and Hawaii for most of that time, and I was paying $5 or $6 a gallon often. In fact, the most I've ever paid for gas was $10, and I was leaving California, and I got to the top of the mountain going over the border, and there was a gas station on top of the mountain, and I was on fumes as I pulled into this.
You mean
last
where they have
one.
you by the balls?
Yeah. So it was
Last
$10
gas
a
station
gallon.
for 98
I got out
miles.
and got 20 gallons. I got 20 bucks. I got out through $20 in the truck. 2 gallons, enough
And
to
then rode
putter
the
out of the gas
clutch.
station, put the clutch in, and drifted to Nevada,
Anyhow.
where it was less than $3.
Yeah.
Like 6 miles down the road, it was less than $3.
Yeah.
Stryker says it's about $6.49 in SoCal now. I think it was L.A. and San Fran that I saw the other day reporting $10 a gallon. So just a couple weeks ago, we were hearing stories about gas stations in Washington State adding an extra digit to their tanks in preparation to go to $10 a gallon. But there are gas stations in California reporting high 9, low 10. And that's... Yep. Yeah, Alex, you're right. I know, but that was kind of my point. It has absolutely been over $5 many times in some places. This time it's the national average. My point is, when we were at the highest national average, I was in some of those places where it was over $5. So now when I hear people say we're at the highest in history because it's over $5, it sticks in my brain a little bit. It doesn't hit like it would if I had been in Georgia looking at, wow, they're really screwed in California, because I was in California. So, oh wait, my bad. This isn't January 6th. These are the BLM riots in 2020.
Now, look, to be fair, the BLM riots, what happened on January 6th, are not one-to-one analogs.
Correct.
And
One of them was violent.
They're not one-to-one analogs?
Correct. One of those groups was armed. I'll stop. I could do this all day, though.
They're not one-to-one analogs, okay? And even if we assume what I'll refer to as the reasonable middle ground narrative, that there were some people in the crowd on January 6th that, wanted to kill Mike Pence and all this stuff, they're not strict one-to-one analogs. They're not. However, the underlying point is still the same. It seems an awful lot like as long as you have the correct narrative, you're allowed to do whatever you want. Or, and this is my own personal pet theory, here's why there's a January 6th committee. None of this shit hurt anybody in Washington. What happened on January 6th made them piss their pants. And that's why there's a January 6th commission. Because suddenly them chickens started to come home to roost.
Right. It didn't happen. This didn't happen in capital city. It happened
In not capital city.
It happened out in the sectors. It happened out where the Hunger Games competitors come from.
Right, exactly.
Not where the Hunger Games are played.
Right. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, came to their backyard. And all of a sudden, turns out that Washington's the ultimate state of NIMBY.
Yep.
Anyhow, I love the next one.
And we got time. I think we've got time for one more.
Let's roll. I love the next one. I don't
love it.
I do. I love it.
It's not like it's a McDonald's ad. Time to be proud, says Burger King Austria. Okay. So what they're doing here is they're making they're trying to be clever about making a reference to tops and bottoms.
Boy, the virtue.
So they've got one Whopper on 2 top buns and one Whopper on 2 bottom buns. And I'll grant you this. Having a Whopper on 2 top buns, extra sesame seeds, okay. I could see some actual, like, just straight up, forget the gay stuff for a minute, culinary appeal to the double seeds. Cool. But you got 2 tops and 2 bottoms.
But I'm pretty sure that's not how that works.
Not at all how that works.
That's not even how that works with straight people.
Exactly.
Like, that's not how it works in any situation ever.
In fact, as an analog to straight people,
nope.
You got 2 tops on the left and 2 bottoms on the right. As an analog to straight people, this is why the way this doesn't work. This is why the concept of heteronormativity is bizarre to hear criticized as a concept by the numbers, and therefore by definition, what is heteronormative is just normal. The word normal, it doesn't refer to what is accepted by people. The word normal means...
What is the norm?
What is the norm? What is the most common activity? I mean, you could grab a pack of pens and say, hey, the normal pen in here is a Sharpie brand pen or something of the sort. There's a shitload of quarters in that cup. I didn't even know.
I didn't... Anyhow.
I have to dump that in the other change bucket.
Keep going. Do it.
Do it.
Again, the left can't meme. And
yeah,
good
this
Lord,
one's just kind of weak.
It's everything about the left can't meme in one picture, because obviously it's Trump and it's the tsunami of January 6th evidence, and somehow it's also going to wipe out Fox News at the same time. Yeah, like the left, they claim that Trump was just this evil bastard because he understood how to say the things that would push the emotional buttons that would just sucker people in and get them angry and behind his cause and get them all in their feelings. You want to talk about projection?
Yeah.
Like the mountain of January 6th evidence that nobody cares about, which, by the way, I'm just going to reference. You know, somebody testified yesterday that those lock boxes that you saw on camera
Were
in Atlanta,
totally legit.
They're totally legit. And I'm not saying that they're not, because obviously they were, because somebody testified at the January 6th
Of course. And there has been no false evidence offered at the January 6th.
Do you know what you're not hearing, though? Bill Barr editorialized and said that it was his opinion that Trump in no way would have knowingly broken the law. You don't hear that, though, do you? Just saying.
That may be the least cowardly thing Bill Barr has said in 10 years. Okay.
Oh, please. You're killing me, Smalls. Do the next one. I know what the next one is.
Okay.
Present it without comment. Like, just...
This one, I'm going to go ahead and do two more, including this one. You know, please, I need some baby formula for my infant child. Clearly, you're failing to grasp the importance of sending aid to Ukraine. And I wanted to push on this far just to remind you that Dan Crenshaw is not your friend. He voted for the red flag laws. He made some excuse about how, well, we have to get them to committee so that we can argue about them. And
No, you don't.
I said, no, Dan, let's see. No. Fuck yourself. Right in your empty eye hole. Your responsibility, having sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, is to vote against all gun laws forever and ever. Amen. Anything short of that is a federal crime because you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, you traitor shitbag.
The day they took the tampons away. Yeah, that's the latest thing that we're running out of. Tampons. I'm sure that'll end well.
Joe Biden put ladies back on on necessary reuse sanitary napkins. That's going to go well. Speaking of the ladies, I just want to finish this. I want to finish it here. Ladies, for those ladies that we have in the audience. Ladies, mansplaining is short for man explaining.
Do the NPC.
And just on the mansplaining thing real quick. We get accused of mansplaining often, and I just want you to understand, and I am mansplaining here a bit. If you knew more things, we wouldn't have to do it so much.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
You want to stop mansplaining? Read. And that, presented without comment.
No, go to the next one. The next one's the one that's brilliant.
Actually, not presented without comment. Because we did a whole show on exactly this concept 2 weeks ago. It's Eric Erickson, right? That likes to say, "You will be made to care."
You will be made to care.
You will be made to pretend to care. I wish we had in the lineup here the guy reading the book, and the cover just says how to conform just enough to stay out of the gulag.
Don't do that. You get us in trouble.
Yeah. Well, this is from our thread, not the infamous. Is this the other one you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah.
This kind of ties back into what we were talking about. We should have went here and.
Well, we've got some significant movement on gun control laws this week, so.
Not as much as you might think. Now, we'll have to see how this plays out. The Senate hasn't even drafted the bill yet. It's just the 20 senators.
But the fact that anybody's had a conversation about it is alarming.
And then let's end on the very last one, because this one's just going to be evergreen.
That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon. Merry Christmas.
All right, guys. And that's all we've got time for this morning. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.